Hi everyone, today we will talk and dissect some of the mysteries of an ancient architecture Pumapunku. Pumapunku, which means the Gate of Puma, is a strategically aligned man-made terraced platform in western Bolivia. The monuments are located 3,700 meters above the mean sea level on the Andes Formation. Pumapunku is one of the largest ancient monuments found to date. But there are lots of mysteries about this monuments. One of the greatest arguments regarding Pumapunku is when it was built. Some of the archaeologists suggested that Pumapunku was built about 2,000 years ago. However, they do not have any hard evidences. The suggestion is mainly made because this place was once belonged to Inca civilization, and the Inca was from 2,000 years ago. However, the locals are disagreeing with this statement. They claim that if according to their ancestors, the Pumapunku was built 17,000 years ago. The stone blocks found in Pumapunku are very straight. They look like concrete blocks, which were casted in rectangular molds. However, according to some researchers, the materials are not concrete but andesite rocks, which is one of the hardest type of rock on Earth, formed by the cooling of volcanic rocks. The Mohs scale of He rock is about 8. Try to imagine the hardest rock diamond, which has the reading of 10, you can imagine how hard is andesite rocks.
Oh! Ew!
Aside from the unbelievable material of this monuments, the shape of it is also astonishing. In addition to the rectangular shape, they are also some other blocks which are in H shape. Compared to pyramids where all the forming rocks are rather square or rectangular, which are in right-angled, it seems like the construction of H blocks are even more complicated. Furthermore, the heaviest blocks in pyramids has only 60 tons in weight, Pumapunku's blocks were an average 100 tons. More interestingly, the andesite rocks can only be obtained about 100 kilometers away from the Pumapunku site, and the works needs to haul the rocks for some 100 kilometers from its sources to the site. This is also similar with the findings for the rocks used to build pyramids, where the rocks also need to be hauled from far away. How these 100 tons of rocks being hauled to the site is still an unresolved mystery. What we can think of now is the rocks to build pyramids were hauled to the site by toilers using tree trunks as wheel. But for Pumapunku, this theory is unapplicable because there were no trees in this proximity, only soft plants like Eureta were grown here. Hence, the theory of toilers were being questioned. Is it made sense to go hundreds km away to get tree trunks just for the sake to transport these stones? Even with the latest biggest truck, transportation of these rocks are almost impossible because the highest loading capacity of the biggest truck nowadays is about 10 to 20 tons, and these rocks are about 100 tons each. Another unresolved mystery regarding Pumapunku is how these rocks were cut. The angle between the surfaces of the rocks are exactly perpendicular measured by nowadays measurement. Due to the hardness of these rocks, it is impossible to cut so nicely. We can think of maybe they were cut by using laser or alternatively, by diamond cutter, but is that really the Pumapunku from thousands years ago already has such technology? Even so, put it in today's technology, we are also not able to cut such big area of rocks using whatever cutting technology that we have today. More interestingly, there were some holes in these stones. The ancient people managed to produce such holes in hard analite, even with today's technology, it also considered impossible. Besides, they were also tiny holes, which is only as big as a needle. It is said that about 2,000 years ago, it is Stone Age where most of the tools were made by stones. Is it possible to use stone tools to make such holes? By only thinking of this, it should give us all a chill. However, Pumapunku now is in ruins. But from the holes and grooves from on the stones, it is not difficult to tell that they were once assembled, like Lego pieces. Up to now, there were no conclusions on why Pumapunku was built. But according to the local myth, it was said that 17,000 years ago, a group of giants descended from the sky built it. And the locals even stressed that the stone blocks were not lifted manually, but were moved and assembled using superpower. Eerily, the locals said these groups of titans built Pumapunku for one reason: to produce human. In order to know how it was built, some of the researchers compared the cutting edge of the cut stones by using diamond cut and laser. It was found that the ancient cut is nothing similar with neither diamond cut or laser cut. Hence, how these stone blocks were made is still an unresolved mystery. Not long from the Pumapunku site was discovered, another ancient site was found about 800 meters away. The Tiwanaku. The Tiwanaku is said to be the civilization before Inca. Based on the size of this site, it was estimated that about 40,000 people stayed here before. But no one knows what happened, as many signs showed that these peoples disappeared overnight and the city was abandoned. Since Tiwanaku and Pumapunku is only 800 m in distance, some guessed that they were built by the same group of people. The Tiwanaku was a stone city, similar with Pumapunku. However, the handcraft of Tiwanaku is largely different with Pumapunku. From the cutting method, construction method as well as the size of the stone, it is not comparable. In the middle of Tiwanaku, there was an altar and the altar was surrounded by 4 sides of walls. What is so interesting about this wall is there were about hundreds of protruding heads carved in these walls. According to the myth by ancient Inca, the wall is the walls of gods. The faces on the walls are the faces of gods. Most importantly, among all of these faces, there is one face which looks exactly like alien, exactly like the one we seen in the movie. In the middle of the altar also, there were some carved columns, and according to the Inca, this is the statue of their god. From the look of this statue, it has a big beard and mustache. Most of the people lived here were Indianas who has no beard or mustache. Ironically, the god in this statue doesn't look like Indianas. This is quite mysterious because we all know that no matter in which ethnics, the gods will look exactly like their peoples. Like Jesus looks like European or American, Buddha looks like Chinese and Allah looks like Arabian. This really doesn't make any sense, but according to their urban legend, their gods were descended from sky and they're the one who has built Pumapunku. They left once the Pumapunku were completed and the human there were made by the Pumapunku. Later, an artifact were dug out from this site. A Fuente Magna, and what is so special about this plate was the carvings of it. On this plate, the cuneiform were found. This looks exactly like the one found on the wall in Mesopotamia by Sumerian. Archaeologists found it is unbelievable as Mesopotamia is very far away from Bolivia. Plus the big beard from their god statue, some of the peoples immediately can relate to Anunnaki, which looks exactly the same with the good statue. Anunnaki is the legends from Sumerian where the locals believed their gods were Anunnaki who came from sky. This has also proven that our Earth were once visited by extraterrestrial intelligence or what we called as alien very long time ago. What is the purpose of Pumapunku was being built? In order to know this, some researchers scaled down the blocks and used them to reassemble to see what it is original form. From the assembly of these blocks, some believe that it was originally a stiffener of a door, a very big door. Hence, the name, the Gate of Puma. Whilst, some others suggested that these actually the pieces for a runway. But a runway for what? There was no aircraft during that era. Astonishingly, later near Pumapunku, archaeologists discovered a small toy, which looks exactly like the plane that we have now. Is this indicating that peoples from that era already have airplanes? Another questions raised regarding Pumapunku is why it is left in the ruins now. By investigating some of the rocks pieces around Pumapunku, researchers found that these pieces are originally from a big rock stones. Some suggested that it was due to explosions. But why? Why the people who built it demolished it? And was explosive existing during that time? Or maybe it was because of meteor? This is still unanswered questions up to now. So maybe our Earth has once been visited by extraterrestrial intelligence before. They came to Earth and built these rocks to produce human as their workforce or labors. After they have obtained what they wanted, in order to destroy the tracks of their existence, they purposely destroy Pumapunku. What do you think? Leave your comments below.